Chosen one. Heaven has paused everything around you to make sure this message finds you. You are not hearing these words by accident. You have been set apart, not for ordinary survival, but for extraordinary destiny. Right now, I am speaking to the soldier inside of you, the one you have often hidden, the one that feels misunderstood, the one that knows deep down you were never meant to blend in. Think of it like this: a lantern left unlit in the storm will remain invisible. But once it catches fire, the whole desert notices. You are that lantern, and God is igniting you in this very hour. For too long you have doubted yourself. You've looked at your scars as proof that you are disqualified. But what if those scars are proof of your enlistment? Every betrayal, every tear shed when no one was watching, every sleepless night, none of it was wasted. They were all training grounds, forging you into a vessel strong enough to carry a secret power reserved only for the rare. I want you to pause and feel this truth. Your spirit has been tempered like steel in a hidden furnace. Others cracked under the same heat. But you endured. That is why you are here. That is why this moment is not coincidence. It is divine intervention. The ancient words recorded in the book of Romans still echo today. Chapter 8, verse 31. If God is for us, who can be against us? And if you let those words sink deep, you will realize nothing has authority to cancel what heaven has written over you. Not the voices that mocked you, not the seasons where you felt abandoned, not even the mistakes you thought buried you forever. Let me tell you about another chosen one. Someone hidden like you. There was a young man who spent years in silence, waiting. He watched others move forward, while he was left behind. In the secret place, God was sharpening him. People whispered that his time had passed. But when the appointed hour arrived, his voice became the trumpet that woke a city. His delay was not denial, it was preparation. Just like you. Picture yourself as a violin resting in the corner of a room. Dust gathers. Silence surrounds. But when the master picks it up, the same silence that mocked its stillness becomes the stage for its song. That is what is happening now. God is reaching for you. Listen carefully. The darkness around you has not fought you because you are weak, but because you are rare. Hell does not waste ammunition on empty vessels. It trembles at those who carry oil for the last days. You are one of them. Now, chosen one, I will ask you to do something simple yet powerful. If this word burns in your spirit, show heaven that you agree. Take a step of faith and engage right here. Press like on this message. Share it so another soldier finds it. And write in the comments the number 111, a prophetic mark of alignment and new beginning. This is not just interaction, it is declaration. You see, there is a difference between hearing and responding. Hearing allows the seed to sit on the surface. Responding pushes the seed into the soil where it can grow roots. By your act of faith, you're telling heaven, I am ready to rise. No, chosen one, you have carried pain in silence. But now you will carry fire in public. The crown waiting for you is not made of gold that fades. It is a crown of witness, of testimony, of endurance rewarded. Do not let fear convince you otherwise. Fear is a shadow, but you are the flame. The word of God has never been empty, and tonight it lands on your spirit as a summons. The secret power you will discover in the coming moments is not for entertainment, it is for warfare. for leadership, for influence. You are a last-day soldier, and soldiers don't retreat, they advance. Let these words settle. You are chosen. You are rare. And you are standing at the threshold of your assignment. This is your awakening. And hear this, your waiting has not been wasted. Every season where you felt overlooked has been counted. Every silent prayer has been stored in heaven's bowls. The hourglass has turned, and your release is nearer than you think. Step forward. Soldier, your story is only beginning, and your voice will carry further than your fears ever imagined. The hidden seal upon your life is not visible to human eyes, yet the spirit world recognizes it instantly. You may not even realize how rare it is to carry such a mark. From the outside, you might appear ordinary, moving through daily routines, blending into the crowd. But in the unseen realm, you shine like a banner lifted high. Angels know who you are. Demons know too. That is why your journey has felt so unusual, so heavy, so set apart. Imagine a letter sealed with wax by the hand of a king. No one can open it except the one for whom it is written. You are that letter, sealed by the Spirit of the living God. Your story has been stamped with divine intention, and it cannot be altered by earthly hands. This hidden seal explains why doors that opened for others closed for you. It explains why relationships that seemed promising suddenly collapsed. It explains why you often felt like a stranger, even among friends. You were being preserved. What felt like rejection was actually protection. Heaven would not let you settle for less than your assignment. Think of a seed buried deep underground. It looks forgotten, covered in soil, pressed down by darkness. But within that pressure, something irreversible is happening. Roots push downward. Hidden growth begins. And one day the world will see a tree. That is you. The seal on your life has forced you underground for a season, so that what is born of you will endure storms. The apostle reminds us in his second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 1, verse 22. He set his seal of ownership on stati, us, and put his spirit in our hearts as a deposit, guarante. These words are not ancient history, they are present truth. You are not merely known, you are marked. And that mark carries weight. It draws battles, but it also secures victories. It stirs confusion around you, but it also guarantees clarity when the time is right. There is a story of a woman who carried this seal but did not understand it. From childhood, she felt an invisible wall between her and others. Her peers mocked her for being different. Teachers told her she was too quiet, too intense, too much. In her 20s, she wept because every plan she tried to build crumbled. Yet in those hidden years, her prayers deepened, her heart softened, her ears sharpened to God's whispers. When her season finally shifted, she discovered that all along she had been shielded by the seal. What once felt like chains became wings. Chosen one, your seal is the reason storms have circled your life. It is also the reason storms could not drown you. The fire tried to consume you, but it only refined you. The flood tried to sweep you away, but you emerged carrying treasure from the deep. Think of yourself as a lighthouse on a cliff. From afar, you look like a simple tower of stone. But when the night falls and waves crash violently, your light proves indispensable. Ships depend on it for survival. That is how heaven designed you. What seems like stillness is actually strategy. You may have asked, why me? Why can't I just live like everyone else? The seal is the answer. Ordinary paths cannot contain you. Ordinary pleasures will not satisfy you. Ordinary compromises will choke you. You are cut for the extraordinary. Consider also this. Seals in ancient times were used to close scrolls until the appointed moment. The scroll could not be read until the right time came. In the same way, your life may feel closed off in certain areas, but when the appointed hour arrives, the seal will break open and the contents will be revealed, and what is inside you will shake nations. You are rare, not because you tried to be, but because God made you so. Rarity always carries mystery. Gold is rare because it must be mined. Diamonds are rare because they are formed under crushing pressure. And you, chosen one, are rare because your journey has been uniquely designed to unlock something eternal. Hold this truth close. The hidden seal upon you is not a burden but a privilege. It may set you apart from crowds, but it also draws you nearer to God. It may strip you of false comforts, but it fills you with eternal purpose. It may make you misunderstood, but it ensures that when the right people arrive, they will recognize you instantly because their spirit will bear witness with yours. So let the seal do its work. Stop fighting the separation. Stop resenting the hiddenness. Stop questioning the delays. Everything marked by heaven carries timing. And when your appointed moment arrives, nothing on earth or in hell can stop the unveiling of what God has reserved within you. You are sealed. You are rare. And soon, the world will see why. Chosen one. The battles that shaped your spirit were never random. Every trial, every blow, every moment where you felt pressed beyond measure was actually a chiseling. You were being carved into a vessel strong enough to carry an assignment others could not. Consider the blacksmith at his forge. He does not strike metal because he despises it. He strikes because he sees what it can become. The fire softens. The hammer shapes. The water seals. Your pain was the forge. Your tears, the quenching waters. Your faith, the steel that emerged unbreakable. Many ask, why was my road so difficult? Why did I lose so much? But the truth is this, without the crushing, the oil could not flow. Without the pressure, the diamond could not shine. Without the battles, your spirit would not have been sharpened for what is ahead. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 34, verse 19. The righteous person may have many troubles, but the Lord delivers him from them all. Oh, notice the words, many troubles. Not one, not two, but many, yet in the same breath. The promise is deliverance. Every scar tells the story of a battle survived, and each survival is proof that you were never abandoned, even in the darkest night. I think of a young man who once shared his journey. He carried rejection like a cloak, moving from place to place, never fitting in. At one point, he thought the weight of life would crush him completely, but years later, when he stood to speak, his voice carried an authority no classroom could teach. Why? Because it was not theory, it was testimony forged in fire. People wept as he spoke, because they could feel the battles behind his words. That is the weight you carry too. Chosen one. Your spirit has been through storms, but storms also reveal anchors. They expose whether a ship is built to last or to sink. And look at you, you are still standing, still breathing, still refusing to surrender your soul. That is the evidence of rare strength. Think of your journey as a tree growing on the edge of a cliff. Winds beat against it harder than against trees in sheltered valleys. Rain lashes it mercilessly, yet its roots cling deeper into the rock, and its silhouette against the sky becomes a testimony of endurance. That is, you planted on the edge, exposed to storms, yet rooted deeper than most. Now, I want you to seal this truth with your own declaration. Write in the comments, "Forged in fire." Why these words? Because they carry the essence of your story. You did not emerge polished, without process. You endured heat, pressure, and hammer strikes. Yet instead of breaking, you became something rare, something strong, something heaven could use. When you type it, you are not only agreeing with this word, you are proclaiming over your own life that every battle was worth it. You are telling your future, "My struggles did not destroy me, they made me indestructible." You are placing your story back into God's hands and saying, "Here I am, refined and ready." End. So let this truth sink in. The battles that nearly broke you have actually branded you with authority. You walk differently because you know pain. You speak differently because you know silence. You shine differently because you have walked through shadows. And though the enemy tried to convince you that your struggles disqualified you, the opposite is true. They qualified you. They gave you scars that match your calling. They carved wisdom into your soul, compassion into your heart, and resilience into your bones. When others give up easily, you endure. When others crumble under pressure, you remain. When others are silenced by fear, you speak, because you know what it cost to still be here. Chosen one. Your battles have not diminished you. They have multiplied you, and when the world sees you rise, they will know the mark upon you is real, and the hand of God has never left your side. And let me tell you something more. Every scar is not just a reminder of pain, it is a doorway to empathy. You will see people others ignore, because you know what it feels like to be unseen. You will comfort the broken in a way that textbooks never could, because you carry the language of survival in your very soul. This is why your story matters. This is why your past cannot be erased. It has become the ink with which God writes your future. The world does not need polished perfection. It needs authentic warriors who have walked through fire and still stand tall. That is you. That is why you are rare, chosen one. Your light terrifies darkness. You may not fully see it, but the unseen realm reacts to you the moment you enter a room. Shadows shift. Atmospheres change. Conversation pause. Why? Because the light you carry is not natural, it is divine. Darkness has always feared what shines too brightly. From childhood, you may have noticed how some people turned against you for no clear reason. Strangers resented you. Friends betrayed you. Co-workers misunderstood you. It was never just about you, it was about the light in you. The presence you carry exposes what others try to hide. Your very existence disturbs hidden shadows. Because truth and deception cannot dwell comfortably together. Think of it this way. A candle placed in a dark cave cannot help but reveal what lives inside. The insects scatter. The bats take flight. The hidden corners are exposed. The candle doesn't need to shout. It simply shines. That is the power you carry. You disrupt darkness by just being present. The Word of God declares in the Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 5, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." This verse is not just poetic, it is prophetic. It speaks of Christ, but it also echoes through those who belong to Him. The light you carry is not borrowed, it is embedded, and because it is of Him, it cannot be extinguished. There is a story of a woman who walked into her workplace every day, feeling unseen and undervalued. Yet over time, she realized that people would confide in her their deepest struggles. They could not explain why, but something about her presence felt safe, pure, and unwavering. She never sought the spotlight, yet her light made her a refuge for others. That is what your light does. It uncovers, it comforts, it reveals. But light also provokes opposition. Darkness does not remain passive when light arises. You may have wondered why jealousy followed you, why gossip seemed to chase you, why hostility appeared where you did nothing wrong. It is because darkness panics when exposed. It lashes out to silence what it cannot defeat. Chosen one, do not mistake resistance for failure. The enemy's reaction is actually confirmation of your assignment. If you were harmless to the kingdom of darkness, you would be ignored. The very fact that you are attacked is proof of what you carry. Imagine a lighthouse on a stormy night. The winds howl, the waves crash, but the beam continues to sweep across the waters. Ships depend on it. Yet the storm rages harder, precisely because the light still shines. You are that lighthouse. The storm is not random, it is reaction. And yet, even in this, you are untouchable in the core of who you are. Darkness may try to distract you, to discourage you, even to wound you, but it cannot extinguish the light itself. At most, it can cloud the glass for a while, but as long as the flame inside burns, the light will always return, stronger than before. Chosen one, your light is not for you alone. It is a signal to others, a beacon that leads the lost back to safety. Those wandering in confusion are drawn to you, often without understanding why. Your words, your eyes, even your silence can carry the weight of heaven. That is why you must not hide it. Think of a city built on a hill. It cannot be hidden. You may have tried to cover your glow to avoid unwanted attention, but suppression only suffocates your spirit. You were designed to shine openly, to pierce through atmospheres where hope is dying. And when you allow yourself to shine fully, people will find their way simply by watching your path. Do not be surprised. Then, when resistance increases, the brighter you shine, the more frantic the shadows become. But remember, the shadows are powerless. They only appear large until the light reveals what they truly are: empty, fragile, fleeting. Chosen one, your light terrifies darkness because it reminds the enemy of its defeat. Every time you rise, every time you speak truth, every time you refuse to bow to fear, you echo the victory of Christ Himself, and that victory cannot be undone. So hold your head high. Do not apologize for the radiance you carry. Do not shrink back to make others comfortable in their shadows. Stand firm, shine bright, and know this: the light within you is eternal, and nothing in all creation can overcome it. Chosen one, you cannot remain hidden forever. The call of heaven is rising inside of you like the sound of a trumpet. What you have carried in silence is about to become a voice that nations need to hear. You were not designed to remain in the shadows. You were designed to rise, to speak, to lead. For too long, you have believed the lie that your voice does not matter. But if you look back, you'll notice the enemy tried to silence you early. He attacked your confidence, made you doubt your worth, placed people around you who dismissed your dreams. Why? Because he feared what would happen if you ever spoke with authority. Think of a river hidden underground. For years, it flows in secret, unnoticed by anyone. Yet one day, the pressure builds until the river breaks through rock and creates a spring that refreshes thousands. That is your voice. Hidden, but not forgotten. Covered, but waiting for its breakthrough moment. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 1. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. And this is not only a command, it is a release. It means your time has come. You cannot bury what God has raised. You cannot silence what heaven has ordained. You must rise, because there are people tied to your obedience. There is a story of a woman who felt her voice was too small to matter. She stayed silent in her community, thinking others were more qualified. But when she finally opened her mouth to share what God had placed in her heart, people wept. Some were healed. Some were inspired to return to faith. What she thought was insignificant became a lifeline for others. That is what your rising will do. It will awaken those around you. Chosen one. Your leadership does not come from titles or positions. It comes from fire. People will follow your example, not because of what you own, but because of what you carry. And what you carry is rare. Now let me speak from the heart. If this message is igniting something inside you, if it feels like water to your thirsty soul, I want to ask you to stay connected. Press the like button so this word reaches others who need it. Share it, because someone in silence is waiting for this same encouragement. And subscribe, because what is being released here is a continuous flow, not just a single drop. And yes, I will speak gently about something else. This work is like planting seeds in a field. Every seed takes effort, digging, watering, tending so that the harvest can come. If you feel stirred, you are welcome to sow back into this ground by giving, by donating. Think of it like a lamp in a dark house. Someone pays the cost to keep the oil burning, so the light doesn't go out. Your support, whether small or large, is like pouring oil into that lamp. It keeps the flame alive, so more people can find their way out of darkness. But hear me clearly, this is never a condition. It is never a demand. It is always an invitation. Just as the tree gives fruit freely, so this word is given freely. Giving back is simply a way of saying, I want to see this light continue for others. And even if you cannot give financially, your presence, your prayers, and your willingness to spread the word are already powerful offerings. You are not less valuable if you do not donate. You are not excluded. You are family. And family walks together, whether by voice, by prayer, or by provision. Chosen one. Imagine an army standing together, each carrying a torch. Some torches are large, some small, but together they form a fire so bright that darkness flees. That is what happens when each person brings what they can, whether it is prayer, encouragement, or support. So rise with your torch. Rise with your voice. Rise with your obedience. The nations may not know your name yet, but heaven does. And when you step forward, you will discover that your life was never meant to be a whisper in the corner. You were destined to be a voice in the valley, calling the dry bones to live again. Chosen one. This is your moment. Do not shrink back. Do not question whether you are ready. Heaven would not call you if you were not prepared. The very fact that you are here, listening, proves that your season has arrived. So let this truth settle deep. Your rising is not just for you, it is for those who will awaken because of your courage. And as you step forward, know this: every word, every act of obedience, every sacrifice will echo through eternity. You are called, you are chosen, and you will lead. Chosen one. There is a mystery unfolding now. What was once locked away, reserved only for a chosen generation, is being poured into you. You are standing in the middle of a moment that prophets long to see, and you have been entrusted with a power hidden from ages past. This is not ordinary strength. It is not talent, not charm, not skill. It is something deeper, something heaven kept sealed until the right season. And now the seal is breaking because the time has come. Think of a treasure chest buried beneath the earth for centuries. Generations pass over it without knowing. Yet when the appointed moment arrives, the chest is unearthed, and what was hidden becomes an inheritance. That is what is happening now. Heaven is placing the key in your hands to unlock what others never touched. The prophet Hosea once recorded the voice of God. Chapter 6, verse 3. Let us acknowledge the Lord. Let us press on to acknowledge him. As surely as the sun rises, he will appear. He will come to us like the winter rains, like the spring rains that water the earth. Do you hear it? Rain imagery, unexpected, unstoppable, refreshing. This is how the reserved power comes. It doesn't arrive by striving, it arrives by surrender. It falls suddenly, like rain on thirsty ground. Maybe you have felt dry, as though nothing in your life has been moving. Yet dryness is the perfect condition for rain to be noticed. If you had not been thirsty, you would not value the water. If you had not been empty, you would not cherish the filling. This season of drought was preparation for the downpour. There is a story of a man who labored faithfully for years, feeling overlooked and unfruitful. He prayed, he served, yet nothing seemed to shift. Until one day, almost suddenly, opportunities opened, doors unlocked, and wisdom flowed from his lips like a river. People asked him, where did this come from? He knew it wasn't himself. It was the long-awaited release of a hidden reservoir. That same suddenness is coming for you. Chosen one. This power is not just for display. It is for assignment. Rain does not fall to be admired. It falls to bring life. In the same way, what is being released in you is meant to awaken others, to water dry places, to bring hope where despair has reigned. Picture yourself as a clay jar. For years, you felt cracked, ordinary, overlooked. But now the cracks become evidence of authenticity, because through them the glory of God shines. The treasure inside you proves that this power is not human, it is divine, and no one will be able to deny it. I want you to recognize this. The very areas where you felt weakest are the places where this reserved power will flow the strongest. Your wounds will become wells. Your scars will become streams. Where you were once broken, rivers will now burst forth. And to mark this truth, I invite you to do something prophetic right now. Write in the comments the number 444. Why this number? Because it symbolizes stability and divine establishment. 3 fours, like 3 pillars, represent the foundation God is laying in you. Firm, unshakable, eternal. By writing it, you are saying, I am established in this power. I will not waver. I am ready to carry what heaven is pouring out. Oh, this act is not about superstition. It is about agreement. It is about aligning your visible action with the invisible reality of what God is doing. When you type it, you are stepping into faith, sealing with your own hand what your heart already believes. Chosen one, let this truth burn in you. You are stepping into a rain reserved only for the rare. This is not a general blessing. This is specific, targeted, intentional. You have been preserved for this moment. And now heaven says, it is time. And so do not fear the weight of what is coming. Rain may feel overwhelming at first, but it always brings life. Let it wash away the doubts. Let it cleanse the lies. Let it soak your spirit until you are overflowing. And when you overflow, know this, the power was never meant to stop with you. It will spill into your family, your city, your generation. Dry bones will breathe again because you dared to receive what was reserved. Chosen one, the rain is falling. Lift your face, open your heart, and let it come. And when it touches you, don't try to contain it. Let it spill. Let it stream. Let it water others, because rain hoarded dies. But rain released multiplies. Chosen one, you stand on the edge of time. It feels as though history itself has slowed, and all creation is holding its breath. This is not imagination. This is the weight of living at a moment when mercy and judgment meet, when heaven leans close, and when every choice carries eternal consequence. There is a tension in the air that you cannot explain. On one side, the whisper of grace, come closer, draw near, walk in obedience. On the other, the pull of compromise, promising comfort, but demanding your soul. You are not imagining the pressure. It is the reality of standing where 2 worlds collide. Picture yourself on the rim of a vast canyon. Behind you is the familiar path of compromise, wide and crowded. Before you is a bridge suspended in the air, narrow, trembling, but leading to a land of promise. This is where you are now, the cliff of decision. And the bridge may look fragile, but it is the only way forward. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Joel. Chapter 3, verse 14. Multitudes. Multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. Do you see it? A valley of decision. Humanity stands there now, and so do you. Your personal battles are not just about you. They are echoes of a larger war between kingdoms. Every delay, every temptation, every distraction you've faced has been designed to pull you away from the narrow path. Yet every conviction you felt, every whisper that drew you back, has been heaven's reminder that you are not ordinary. There was once a man who lived in a season of waiting. He felt stuck, nothing moved. Prayers felt unanswered. He nearly gave in to despair. But one night, while walking alone, he sensed a voice stand firm, for you are closer than you think. The next day, doors opened that had been shut for years. What looked like endless delay was actually the final test before breakthrough. Chosen one. Your tension is not meaningless. It is proof you are on the edge. Those who drift with the current never feel resistance. Only those swimming against it know the weight of the tide. You feel it because you are resisting what others have surrendered to. Think of an arrow being drawn back on a bow. The further it is pulled, the greater the tension. But that tension is not punishment, it is preparation. Without it, the arrow has no reach. The pressure you feel is heaven pulling you back, aligning you, aiming you, so that when released, your impact will stretch further than you ever dreamed. Yet beware, for this edge of time is not a place to play with rebellion. Mercy is abundant. Yes, but mercy also has a window. When a heart hardens past the point of return, even mercy steps back. The scriptures tell us of Pharaoh, whose heart grew harder until judgment came swiftly. This is not to frighten you into despair, but to awaken you to urgency. The window is open now, but it will not remain open forever. You may be one step away from either clarity or blindness. One choice away from either awakening or slumber. This is why your spirit feels the weight. This is why heaven is relentless in its call to you. Chosen one, you are standing on holy ground, though the world around you does not see it. Every moment now carries more weight than the years behind you. Your yes has power. Your obedience is not small, it tilts atmospheres. Even unseen decisions made in your heart ripple outward like waves, touching shores you will never see. I want you to imagine a soldier standing at the border of two kingdoms. Behind him lies comfort, ease, and a false peace. Ahead lies sacrifice, battle, but also glory. His choice will determine not only his fate, but the fate of countless others. That soldier is you, and heaven waits for your step forward. But do not let fear paralyze you. The same God who calls you to the edge also strengthens you to cross it. He does not summon without supplying. He does not command without empowering. His grace is not just pardon, it is power. Chosen one. Stand firm in this valley of decision. The shaking you feel is not the end, it is the beginning. The trembling bridge before you is not weak, it is the path prepared by God's own hand. Cross it, and you will find yourself in the land promised long ago, not just for your sake, but for all who will follow your footsteps. So, breathe deeply. Lift your eyes. The edge of time is not a place to fear, but a place to awaken. You are here for this exact moment, and heaven is closer than it has ever been. Chosen one. What you carry is not made of earthly materials. The weapons entrusted to you are not forged from steel or crafted by human hands. They are spiritual, invisible yet unstoppable, designed to dismantle strongholds and to silence the powers of darkness that have long tried to suffocate you. You have perhaps wondered why your ordinary strategies failed. You tried logic, yet confusion remained. You tried human effort, yet the chains held tight. It was not because you were weak, it was because the battle was never natural to begin with. The war around you has always been spiritual, and spiritual battles require spiritual weapons. The Apostle Paul revealed in his second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 10, verse 4, "The weapons we fight with are not the weapons of the world. On the contrary, they have divine power to demolish strongholds. Len, this is not symbolic language, it is reality. Strongholds are not only external, they are internal. They are patterns of thought, lies whispered by the enemy, prisons built in the mind, and the weapons given to you are precise enough to strike them down one by one. Think of a fortress high upon a hill, with walls so thick they seem impenetrable. For years, it looks unshakable, yet a single hidden key, placed in the right lock, can open the gates. That key is what God has placed in your hands. Prayer, worship, the words spoken with faith. These are not rituals. They are weapons. Every time you use them, walls crack, gates tremble, strongholds weaken. Chosen one, you are not unarmed. You may have felt defenseless in seasons of attack, but that was only because the enemy tried to blind you to what you already carried. Inside of you is the ability to command atmospheres, to push back oppression, to release peace where there was chaos. There was a young woman who struggled for years with cycles of fear. No matter what she tried, therapy, distractions, advice from friends, the fear lingered. But one night, she remembered the scriptures and began speaking them aloud in her room. At first, her voice shook. Then, as she continued, something shifted. Fear broke, peace entered. What she discovered was this: the word spoken in faith is not poetry, it is a sword. And once she learned to wield it, the fear never had the same grip again. Chosen one. This is how your weapons work. They may seem simple to the world, but in the spirit, they are mighty. The name of Jesus is not just a phrase, it is an authority that makes hell tremble. Worship is not just a song, it is a weapon that dismantles the enemy's atmosphere. Prayer is not just words, it is fire that travels where your feet cannot. Picture yourself as a warrior clothed in unseen armor. The shield of faith guards you. The sword of the Spirit is in your hand. The helmet of salvation secures your mind, though the world cannot see it. The spirit world does, and every time you stand, armored in truth, the kingdom of darkness recoils. Do not despise the small practices that feel ordinary, opening scripture each morning, whispering prayers in the night, singing when no one is listening. These are not wasted acts. They are strikes against the unseen enemy. Little by little, they build an atmosphere where darkness cannot stay. But also know this: your armor is not only for defense, it is for advancement. You were not given these weapons to merely survive. You were given them to take ground, to reclaim what was stolen, to establish peace in places ruled by chaos. Think of light piercing a cave. It doesn't ask permission, it invades. The weapons in your hands carry that same nature. They don't negotiate with darkness, they drive it out. And this is why your journey has been marked with battles. The enemy has always feared the day you realized what you carried. As long as you saw yourself as weak, you posed no threat. But once you awaken to your armor, once you learn to wield your weapons, the war shifts. No longer are you chased, you become the one who advances. Chosen one, let this truth settle. You are not fighting unarmed. You are clothed, covered, equipped. Your hands were not made to remain empty. They were designed to grip weapons that demolish strongholds. And with every strike of faith, every word of truth, every prayer released, You are not just protecting yourself. You are shaping atmospheres. You are altering destinies. You are shifting generations. The weapons of the rare are not fragile. They are eternal, and they have been entrusted to you, chosen one. Your mouth was never meant to be silent. Within you rests a fire that refuses to be contained. Words are not just sounds, they are forces. They either bind or they break. They either wound or they heal. And your words, when carried by the Spirit, carry the weight of heaven itself. This is why the enemy tried to choke your voice. He made you afraid to speak, made you doubt your thoughts, made you believe no one would listen, because he knew if you ever released what God placed in you, chains would shatter, strongholds would fall, and darkness would tremble. Scripture says in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 20, verse 9, His word is in my heart, like a fire shut up in my bones. I cannot. Do you feel that? A burning inside you that refuses to be buried. You may have tried to stay quiet, to blend in, to swallow your words, but the fire grows hotter until you must release it. There was once a young man who endured years of silence. He kept his thoughts locked inside, afraid of ridicule. But when he finally began to speak, sharing his journey, declaring truth, people leaned in. Some wept. Some repented. Some felt hope for the first time in years. He realized then his voice was never about him. It was about those waiting for the fire he carried. Chosen one. Your mouth is not ordinary. When you speak in obedience, it is as though arrows of light are launched into the atmosphere. Lies are pierced. Despair is punctured. Hope rises. It is not about eloquence or volume. It is about fire. Even whispered truth carries more power than shouted deception. Think of a torch in the night. It doesn't just give light, it spreads fire when touched to another flame. Your words do the same. They ignite others, setting off chain reactions of faith and courage. But you must choose to open your mouth. The fire cannot stay hidden. And when you release it, know that heaven backs you. Angels move at the sound of God's word, spoken through your lips. Demons flee at the name of Jesus, declared with conviction. Chains loosen when truth is spoken in love. So right now, mark this moment with a declaration. Type in the comments, fire within me. These 3 words are not casual, they are covenant. By writing them, you are agreeing that you will not bury what God has placed inside you. You are proclaiming, I carry fire, and I will release it. And as you write it, remember what it means. Fire consumes, but it also purifies. Fire spreads, but it also protects. Fire gives light, but it also drives away predators in the night. That is what your words will do. They will burn away lies. They will purify hearts. They will spread hope. They will guard those who feel surrounded by darkness. Chosen one. Your silence was costly, but your voice is priceless. The world does not need another echo, it needs your fire. And when you speak, you are not speaking alone. The same Spirit that breathed creation into being breathes through you now. So open your mouth, release the fire, and watch as chains that seemed immovable collapse under the weight of your words. But hear this. Fire is not meant to sit in a corner. A fire contained too long turns inward and destroys its own vessel. A fire released outward becomes warmth, light, and transformation. That is why God cannot allow you to stay silent, because the fire inside you was meant to change atmospheres, not consume you in frustration. Think of a lighthouse again. Its light does not argue with the night, it simply shines. In the same way, your words do not need to argue endlessly, they simply need to carry truth. And truth, once spoken, cannot be erased. Every testimony you share is like a spark landing on dry ground. Some sparks fade, but others catch. And when they do, entire forests of hearts can be set ablaze with hope. You never know which sentence, which phrase, which story will be the spark that awakens another soul. So guard your tongue from fear, but never from fire. For what God has placed inside you was never meant to be caged. The world is waiting, and heaven is urging. Let it out. And when you finally release it, you'll see your words are not small sparks. They are thunder in the spirit, shaking walls and opening paths no hand could ever force. Chosen one, you may not fully see it yet, but the enemy has studied you carefully. He has thrown distractions, discouragement, and sudden storms in your path, not because you are weak, but because he fears your rising. The attacks were never random. They were strategies to stop you before you discovered your true strength. Think of a seed underground. Before it breaks the soil, it faces the most resistance. Stones press against it. Dirt weighs heavy upon it. Yet once the sprout pierces the surface, the same weight that tried to bury it becomes the soil that nourishes its roots. That is how the enemy's attacks work. What he meant to bury you, God will use to strengthen you. The word of God declares in the book of Isaiah, chapter 54, verse 17, "No weapon forged against you will prevail, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you, says the Lord." Chosen one, the weapons were real. The tears you cried were real. The wounds, the loneliness, the betrayals, all real. But so is the promise. Nothing formed against you will succeed, and even the words spoken against you will one day be silenced. There was once a woman who felt overwhelmed by constant resistance. Every time she tried to rise, something knocked her down. But years later, she testified that those very storms had trained her to lean on God alone. She realized that her resilience was born out of resistance. The battle that nearly crushed her became the very testimony that lifted others. That is your story too. Your battles will become someone else's hope. But here is something I must remind you. Standing strong in your calling is not something you do alone. It is a journey we walk together. When you press like, you're not just tapping a button, you're saying, "I choose to stand in agreement with this word." When you share, you're planting a seed of encouragement into someone else's desert, giving them the water they didn't even know they needed. And when you subscribe, you're stepping into a stream that doesn't dry up. It's like returning to a river each day, knowing the water will still flow. You're telling heaven, "Keep feeding me. Keep pouring into me. I will not walk this road alone." Oh, now, I will speak gently about something deeper. This work, these words, are like lamps burning in the night. To keep a lamp burning, someone must supply oil. When you donate, you are pouring oil into the flame not just for yourself, but for countless others who will stumble into this light at the exact moment they need it. Think of it like bread in a famine. Someone bakes it with effort, with cost. When you choose to give, you're saying, let the oven keep burning. Let more bread be made, so no one walks hungry. But hear me clearly. This is never an obligation. This is never a demand. This is invitation, an open door for those who feel stirred. Some will give finances. Some will give prayers. Some will give their time by sharing the word. All are precious. All are part of the same flame. Imagine an orchestra. One violin alone can play a haunting melody, but when the full orchestra joins drums, flutes, cellos, the sound shakes the soul. In the same way, each act you're like, your share, your subscription, your support adds an instrument to the song heaven is playing through this ministry. And the more who join, the louder the music of hope resounds. Chosen one, your presence here matters. You are not just listening, you are participating in something bigger than yourself. You are part of a chorus, part of a fire, part of a river that will not run dry. So when the enemy whispers that you are alone, silence him with this truth. You are surrounded by light, surrounded by brothers and sisters who carry the same fire, surrounded by a God who never fails. The enemy's attacks may have been fierce, but they only prove how rare and dangerous your rising is to the kingdom of darkness. You are not falling apart, you are being pieced together. You are not losing, you are learning. You are not defeated, you are being prepared. Lift your head. Chosen one, this battle does not end in defeat. It ends in your testimony, and through your testimony, many others will find strength to rise again. And remember this, even the smallest spark of your obedience can light fires you may never see. Your rising is not just survival, it is legacy. Chosen one, if you desire to carry the fullness of what heaven has entrusted to you, there is only one path: obedience. Not half-hearted, not occasional, not selective, but complete surrender. For obedience is the key that unlocks authority, and rebellion is the thief that steals it away. It is easy to say yes when the command aligns with your desire, but the test of true surrender comes when God asks you to lay down what you love, to step where you cannot see, to trust when everything in you wants to control. This is the fire where faith is proven. The Spirit spoke through the book of Joshua, chapter 1, verse 8. Keep this book of the law always on your lips. Meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do everything written in it. Then you will be prosperous and successful. Do you hear it? Success is not promised to the clever, nor to the strong, but to the obedient. Prosperity in God's eyes is tied not to human strategy, but to alignment with His will. There was once a man called to leave his homeland and walk into a land he had never seen. To many, it looked foolish. Why abandon stability for uncertainty? Yet his obedience made him the father of nations. That man was Abraham, and his story is a mirror for yours. What feels like loss at the beginning is actually the doorway to legacy. Chosen one, disobedience often disguises itself as delay. I'll obey when I have more clarity. I'll obey when circumstances are easier. But waiting on perfect conditions is still rebellion in disguise. The truth is, clarity often comes after obedience, not before. Think of a sailor on a dark sea. He cannot see the whole coastline. He only sees the next lighted buoy. Yet by obeying one light at a time, he reaches safe harbor. So it is with you. Obedience step by step will lead you farther than sight ever could. And yet, obedience is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is quiet. Sometimes it is choosing honesty when lying seems easier. Sometimes it is forgiving when bitterness feels justified. Sometimes it is speaking truth when silence would cost less. These unseen obediences build a fortress of character, brick by brick, until one day the world sees a tower of strength where once stood only rubble. There was a woman who wrestled for years with unforgiveness. She prayed for breakthrough but felt chained. One day, she sensed God whisper, "Release them." Her heart broke at the thought, but she chose to obey. That very night, peace flooded her soul in a way no sermon or song had ever brought. Obedience unlocked what striving never could. Chosen one. The kingdom of darkness does not fear your gifts. It fears your obedience. Gifts without obedience are like weapons left rusting in the corner. But obedience sharpens them, activates them, and turns them into instruments of heaven. Think of a bow in the hands of an archer. The bow itself is powerful. Yet, without the archer's direction, it achieves nothing. In the same way, your talents, your fire, your voice, when surrendered to God, become weapons aimed with precision, but kept in your own will. They remain unfocused, never reaching their true mark. Do not believe the lie that obedience is bondage. Obedience is the truest freedom. For when you align with heaven, you are no longer tossed by the winds of confusion. You walk on a path paved with divine purpose. Yes, there will be moments of wrestling. Even Jesus, in the garden, prayed for the cup to pass. Yet he finished with the words, "Not my will, but yours be done." And in that surrender, salvation for all was birthed. Chosen one. Do not underestimate what your obedience can unlock, not only for you, but for generations after you. Your yes can ripple into eternity. Your surrender can break curses, shift atmospheres, and set in motion a harvest you will never fully see. So, stand firm. Do not compromise. When the voice of God calls, answer swiftly. For obedience is not just duty, it is destiny. And every step of surrender brings you closer to the fullness of the crown waiting on your head. And remember this: each small yes builds into a greater yes. Every hidden act of obedience creates a foundation for miracles. What seems unseen today will echo loudly in eternity. Your surrender writes a story that heaven will never erase. Chosen one. Alignment is not something vague, it is a posture of spirit. When heaven moves, only those who are aligned can recognize the signal. You have felt it before, that stirring in your heart when others felt nothing, that sudden conviction when the crowd rushed the other way. It is because your spirit is tuned to a frequency that the world cannot hear. The prophet Amos once spoke of this. Chapter 3, verse 7. Surely the sovereign Lord does nothing without revealing his plan to his servants, the prophets. Own. This means heaven always leaves a signal, a clue, a prophetic marker, and the chosen ones of each generation are those who notice it and respond. You are one of them. Think of a compass in the wilderness. While others wander aimlessly, the one with the compass walks in confidence. That compass is alignment. It points true north when emotions waver, when circumstances confuse, when voices contradict. If you keep your spirit aligned, you will never lose direction. But alignement requiert surrender. A compass only works when it is still shaken constantly. Its needle spins wildly. So it is with you. In seasons of anxiety and restlessness, you could not hear clearly. Yet the moment you stilled yourself before God, the needle pointed again. There was a young man who lived years in delay, feeling as though nothing in his life moved forward. One night, while reading scripture, he felt a piercing conviction. You are walking, but you are not aligned. In tears, he surrendered what he had been clinging to, and within months doors opened that had been closed for years. Alignment shifted everything. Chosen one. Heaven is not asking you to be perfect. Heaven is asking you to be aligned. Perfection belongs to God, but alignment is your choice. When you align your will to His, even your weaknesses become vessels for power. This is why prophetic acts matter. They are visible signs of invisible faith. When you write, when you declare, when you step forward in action, you are saying, I align myself with heaven's movement. It is more than words, it is agreement. And agreement carries power. So right now, I invite you to mark this moment with faith. Type in the comments, 888. Why this number? Because it carries the meaning of new creation and fresh beginning, a triple confirmation of renewal. By writing it, you are declaring, I align myself with what is fresh, what is eternal, what heaven is birthing now. Do not take this lightly. It is not a random act. When you write 888, you are planting a flag in the spirit, claiming your alignment with what heaven is unfolding in this generation. You are saying, I refuse to be distracted. I choose the signal. I choose the straight path. Enlo, chosen one. Alignment will protect you when storms rise. It will guide you when options confuse. It will keep you steady when others fall away. And the moment you align fully, you will see heaven's hand in ways you never imagined clear, undeniable, and perfect in timing. So be still. Watch the compass. Follow the needle. Stay aligned. For what is unfolding now requires clarity, and heaven has chosen you to walk in it. And let me remind you, alignment is not just about grand decisions, it is also about the small, daily. Yes, it is choosing patience when anger knocks. It is choosing truth when lies would make life easier. It is choosing prayer when silence feels simpler. These small obediences are like steady steps that keep your compass pointing north. Think of a musician tuning their instrument. If just one string is out of tune, the whole song sounds wrong. But when every string is aligned, the melody flows beautifully. Your life works the same way. Alignment in small areas creates harmony for the great symphony God wants to play through you. There was once a young woman who constantly second-guessed herself. She wanted to hear God clearly, but always feared she was off track. One day, she realized that alignment was less about perfection and more about intention, less about flawless performance and more about a surrendered heart. The moment she shifted her perspective, peace came. She walked with confidence, knowing that even if she stumbled, the compass of God's Spirit would correct her course. So do not be afraid of missing it. Fear paralyzes, but trust frees. Alignment is not about walking perfectly, it is about walking humbly, always willing to adjust. always willing to return to true north. Chosen one. Heaven is not asking you to sprint ahead. It is asking you to stay aligned, step by step. And as you do, you will find yourself walking straight into promises you once thought were unreachable. Chosen one. You have always known you were different, even in childhood. There were whispers inside you that said you did not fit the mold. While others blended into the crowd with ease, you felt set apart, marked, carrying something invisible that made you both sought after and misunderstood. At times, this difference felt like a burden. You longed to be normal, to fit in, to walk without the weight of feeling other. Yet what you did not see was that your difference was not rejection, it was revelation. It was heaven's way of signaling that you were never meant to blend in. You were meant to stand out. The writings of David remind us in the Psalms, chapter 139, verse 14. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. End quote. These words are not merely comfort, they are confirmation. You were intentionally crafted, designed with precision, woven with purpose. Every quirk, every gift, every unique detail was chosen by the Creator to fulfill a story no one else could carry. There is a story of a young boy who struggled in school because he could not learn like others. Teachers told him he would never succeed. Friends mocked his slowness. But what they called weakness was actually the seed of creativity. Years later, the same boy became an inventor whose ideas changed lives. His uniqueness was never a flaw, it was the clue to his calling. Chosen one. The world often tries to mold you into sameness. Culture pressures you to fit trends, to echo voices, to silence what makes you different. But the very thing you have tried to hide is the very thing heaven wants to reveal. Think of a diamond in rough form. It looks like an ordinary stone, dull and unremarkable. But once it is cut and polished, its brilliance is undeniable. You may have looked at yourself and only seen the rawness, the edges, the imperfections. Yet heaven has always seen the brilliance within you. The cutting you endured through trials was never meant to destroy you, but to reveal your radiance. You may have asked, why am I always the one who feels things deeply? Why do I notice what others ignore? Why can't I be satisfied with what satisfies everyone else? The answer is simple, because you were never ordinary. Your sensitivity is a gift. Your depth is a compass. Your dissatisfaction is heaven's reminder that you were made for more. There was a woman who spent years despising her differences. She was quieter than her siblings, more reflective, more cautious. For years, she felt overlooked. But later, those very traits made her a counselor to many. Her quiet became safety. Her reflection became wisdom. Her caution became discernment. What once felt like weakness became her strength. Chosen one. You must embrace this truth. The mark of God on your life will always make you different. Not everyone will understand it. Some will reject it. Others will envy it. But those with eyes to see will recognize it instantly, because the spirit inside them will testify that you carry something rare. Think of yourself as a torchbearer in a dark stadium, while thousands sit in the stands. Your flame makes you visible. The eyes of the crowd fall on you, not because you sought attention, but because the light cannot be ignored. That is what your difference does. It draws eyes, not for your glory, but for the glory of the one who lit your flame. And yes, being different carries weight. It means fewer can walk with you. It means loneliness will sometimes knock on your door. It means misunderstanding will trail you like a shadow. But it also means destiny walks beside you. For God does not mark vessels for sameness, He marks them for impact. Chosen one. Your uniqueness is not accidental. It is intentional. It is not punishment. It is preparation. The very things that set you apart are the things that qualify you. And when you finally embrace them, you will stop apologizing for being different and start rejoicing that you were rare. Lift your head. Let the world call you strange, if it must. Heaven calls you chosen, and your difference is not your downfall, it is your design. And hear this clearly. The world's rejection is heaven's confirmation. What they push away, God sets apart. What they mock, heaven crowns. Your uniqueness is not a curse, it is your compass. Walk boldly in it, chosen one. You are not walking this journey alone. Across the earth, scattered in hidden places, there is a remnant, an unseen army of men and women who, like you, carry the mark of the rare. They do not announce themselves with noise, nor do they seek attention in the streets. Yet their presence shakes atmospheres. Their prayers shift nations, and their faith holds back floods of darkness. This remnant is often unseen by the world, but never unnoticed by heaven. In ancient times, Elijah the prophet once cried out in despair, believing he was the last faithful one left. But God answered him, revealing there were 7,000 who had not bowed to idols. The lesson was clear. Even when you feel isolated, heaven always preserves a remnant. The writings of Paul in the book of Romans, chapter 11, verse 5, remind us, so too. At the present time, there is a remnant chosen by grace. Do you feel the weight of those words? You are not just one solitary light. You are part of a constellation, a scattered army, aligned by grace, moving in step, though many have never met. Imagine a night sky. At first glance, the stars seem distant and separated, each shining alone. Yet when you trace the lines between them, patterns emerge. Constellations form. Navigation becomes possible. That is what the remnant is, seemingly scattered, but in heaven's view, perfectly aligned to create direction for generations. There is a story of a man who thought his faith was insignificant because he was tucked away in a small village. He prayed. He fasted. He served quietly, far from any spotlight. Years later, he discovered that his prayers had sparked revival in places he never set foot in. His unseen obedience was woven into the greater work of the remnant, chosen one. You may have felt invisible, as though your efforts carried no weight. But invisibility is often the cloak of the rare. The strongest roots of a tree are hidden underground. The deepest foundations of buildings are unseen, and the most powerful movements of heaven often begin in silence. Through those the world overlooks, think of soldiers preparing in the shadows. They are not idle, they are training, sharpening, waiting for the signal. And when the trumpet sounds, they rise in unison, surprising the enemy with their sudden appearance. That is the strategy of heaven. With the remnant you are hidden until the appointed hour. But when that hour comes, the world will know. Do not despise the hidden years. They are not wasted. They are seasons of preparation. times when heaven forges steel into your bones and fire into your heart. The remnant is never rushed. It is refined, chosen one. The army you belong to is not armed with swords of iron, but with prayers, with words of truth, with lives surrendered. It is an army that marches without fanfare. Yet every step it takes shakes the unseen realm. When one weeps, the others feel it. When one rises, the others gain strength. That is the mystery of the remnant. You are connected in spirit, though separated in distance. Picture a vast desert at night. Scattered campfires dot the horizon, alone. Each fire seems small, but together they form a chain of light that pushes back the darkness. This is the remnant, individual flames, but one collective fire. And you, chosen one, are one of those flames. You may feel small at times, but the fire you carry contributes to a blaze that darkness cannot contain. You may never see the full picture on this side of eternity, but one day you will look back and realize your obedience was part of a grand design far greater than yourself. The remnant walks in humility, but they carry eternal crowns. They endure loneliness, but they are never forsaken. They may be hidden, but they are never forgotten. And you, with every step of faith, with every whispered prayer, with every moment you refuse to bow, are proving that you belong to this chosen army, chosen one. Remember this, you are not isolated. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are part of heaven's secret strategy. And though the world may not yet recognize the remnant, soon their impact will be undeniable. And when that unveiling comes, you will understand why you were hidden for so long. Hidden roots grow deep enough to withstand storms. Hidden fires burn steady enough to last the night. Hidden soldiers are preserved for the exact moment of battle. You are one of them, and your time will come, chosen one. The path you walk is not only about surviving this present hour, it is about carrying a crown that testifies to eternity. You are being shaped into a witness, one who will stand not only before men, but before heaven itself. Every act of faith, every tear surrendered, every hidden obedience becomes a jewel in that crown. But this crown is not given cheaply. It is forged in the fire of trials, polished in the silence of waiting, and secured through the endurance of faith. Think of a runner nearing the end of a long race. Muscles ache, lungs burn. Yet the vision of the finish line fills them with strength. That is you. You are not running aimlessly. You are running toward a crown that cannot fade. The Apostle Paul writes in the first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 9, verse 25, everyone who competes in the games goes into strict training. They do it to get a crown that fades. This is the eternal witness you are called to carry, not a crown of gold or earthly honor, but one of glory, of testimony, of faith, proven, genuine. And here is the beauty of it. Your crown is not only for you. When you stand crowned in eternity, the light of that glory will reflect into countless lives, showing them the way to victory. Your endurance becomes someone else's encouragement. Your story becomes someone else's survival. Your faith becomes someone else's spark. Chosen one, let me speak to your heart with gentleness now. If these words feel like oil to your weary soul, if you sense they are a torch in your dark night, I invite you to let your response become part of this crown-bearing journey. When you press like, think of it as laying a small jewel into the crown, a sign that you honor the truth spoken and choose to carry it with you. When you share, imagine passing a torch down a long line of waiting hands. Each share is a flame that leaps from your fire into someone else's night, giving them light to walk by. When you subscribe, see it as planting your roots by a flowing river. You return again and again, drinking from living waters, choosing not to wander in drought, but to stay where life continues to flow. And when you comment, see it as carving your name into the stone of testimony. It is not just words on a screen, it is a declaration that you choose to walk crowned, that your story will not be silenced but remembered among the witnesses. And yes, let us speak of giving. But let us see it not as transaction, it is transformation. When you donate, picture pouring oil into a lamp that lights a city on a hill. That light does not belong to one person, it belongs to all who stumble in darkness, searching for direction. Your offering becomes oil that keeps the flame burning, not only for you, but for those yet to arrive. But hear this clearly, none of this is demanded of you. It is never about pressure, never about debt. It is always invitation. Just as worship is voluntary, so is this. You give because your heart overflows, not because a hand forces you. You respond because you want to be part of something eternal, not because you are afraid of missing out. Imagine a garden. One person plants, another waters, another tends, and in time, all rejoice together in the harvest. This is how heaven's work unfolds. Each act, small or large, becomes part of the soil, the watering, the tending, and when the fruit comes, the joy is shared. Chosen one, this is your moment to realize your journey is bigger than you. Your crown is brighter than you think, and your participation, in whatever form it takes, is a thread woven into a tapestry of eternal witness. So walk with courage, walk with joy. Know that every step you take, every response you choose, every act of obedience and generosity echoes beyond this life. The witnesses in heaven lean in, cheering, waiting, knowing that soon your crown will shine among theirs. And when that day comes, you will hear the voice of the King himself saying, "Well done." That voice will make every sacrifice worth it, every tear meaningful, every hidden act remembered. That voice will place the crown on your head, and you will know it was all for this. And even now, each step you take is echoing in eternity. Nothing is wasted, nothing forgotten. Your journey is writing a song heaven itself will sing, and your crown will shine forever. Chosen one. Everything is converging now. The fragments of your journey, the broken pieces you once thought meaningless, the scattered seasons of waiting and wrestling, they are all being gathered into a single story. Heaven wastes nothing, and even what the enemy meant for harm is being woven into the final tapestry of glory. Think back over your path. There were valleys so dark you thought you would never emerge. There were mountains so high you thought you would never climb them. There were deserts so dry you thought your spirit would break. Yet here you are, still standing, still breathing, still chosen. The very fact that you are here is testimony enough that the hand of God has never left you. The ancient words in the book of Philippians, chapter 1, verse 6, declare, being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it to completion. Completion. That is what this moment is about. The scattered pieces are coming together. The unfinished chapters are finding their closure. The long delays are revealing their purpose. What once felt like fragments now form a design, too beautiful to have been random. Think of a weaver at his loom. From the underside, the threads appear tangled, chaotic, without order. Yet when the cloth is flipped, a stunning image appears. Your life has felt like the underside confusion, knots, threads crossing without meaning. But heaven sees the other side. And now, slowly, you are being allowed glimpses of the design. There was once a woman who suffered years of loss, family gone, opportunities stolen, health failing. She cried often, asking God why her life seemed to unravel. Yet in time, she became a source of strength for many who faced similar pain. They listened to her, not because of her words alone, but because of the authenticity of her scars. What had been stolen from her became the very thing she carried as healing to others. Chosen one, you must realize that glory does not come without groaning. The final push of a birth is the hardest, the loudest, the most painful. Yet it is also the moment closest to new life. Your generation is in such a moment, the final push of glory. The shaking is not a sign of abandonment. It is the trembling of something about to be born. Imagine a storm gathering at sea. The winds howl. The waves rise. The sky darkens. But just beyond the horizon, the sun waits to break through. The violence of the storm is not endless. It is temporary. And when it passes, the air is fresher, the sky clearer, the waters calmer than before. This is where you stand at the threshold where storm gives way to sunrise. Greater glory awaits. What you lost will not compare to what is coming. The scars you carry will not outweigh the crown you will wear. The nights you endured will not overshadow the morning that is rising. Chosen one. The final push requires endurance. Do not mistake the weight you feel now as a sign of weakness. It is a sign of nearness. Like a runner on the last lap, your body aches, not because you are failing, but because you are close to the finish. The ache is proof you are almost there. This is why your spirit feels stretched, why the battles seem fiercer, why the waiting feels heavier. It is not regression, it is acceleration. The pressure is proof of the promise about to break through. And so, take heart. The final push of glory is not something to fear, but to embrace. It is the moment where everything aligns, where heaven meets earth, where your story collides with God's eternal plan. Chosen one. You were preserved for this exact season, and though it feels like the shaking will break you, it is actually birthing you. The final push is not your end, it is your unveiling. So, steady yourself. Breathe deep. Fix your eyes on the horizon, for what is coming will outweigh what has been, and the glory ahead will silence the pain behind. And when it comes, you will understand why the nights were so long and why the waiting was so heavy. What once felt like wasted years will reveal themselves as hidden preparation. What once felt like silence will sound like strategy. The birth pangs will fade, and joy will remain. You will see clearly that every scar was a doorway, every storm a rehearsal, and every tear a seed of glory. Chosen one. You are nearing the unveiling. This journey has not been for nothing. Every season you endured, whether hidden, broken, or misunderstood, was part of a refining process that only the rare are called to walk through. Now, heaven is preparing to reveal what has been carefully preserved inside you. You may feel as though you are standing at a threshold, sensing something greater ahead, but not yet seeing it clearly. That sense of almost is not deception. It is reality. You are in the final stretch, the place where everything within you has been tested and proven, and now it is ready to be displayed. The book of Hebrews, chapter 10, verse 35, reminds us with eternal weight. So do not throw away your confidence. It will be richly rewarded. End of confidence here is not arrogance. It is assurance. It is the deep knowing that the God who carried you through valleys will also crown you on mountains. The same one who preserved you in storms will establish you in seasons of peace. Your confidence is not in yourself. It is in the one who has never failed you. Think of a seed planted long ago. For months, perhaps years, it stayed beneath the surface, unseen, while storms raged above it. Yet the roots grew deep. And now, just when it seems the world has forgotten the seed entirely, it bursts through the soil, not as a fragile sprout, but as a tree ready to grow. That is you about to break the surface. There was once a man who worked tirelessly in obscurity for decades. His efforts bore little fruit. He wondered if his life would ever matter. Yet, one day, a door opened suddenly, and all his years of preparation became relevant in an instant. People called it overnight success. But it was not overnight. It was years of hidden growth revealed at the right time. Chosen one. Your unveiling will feel the same. What the world calls sudden will actually be the fruit of years of unseen labor, prayers, and tears. The wait was not a delay, it was a setup. Imagine a curtain in a theater. For so long, the stage has been prepared behind it, props arranged, lights adjusted, actors rehearsed. The audience grows restless, wondering when the play will begin. Then, in a single moment, the curtain rises, and what was hidden is revealed. That curtain is about to lift in your life. You have been trained for this moment. Your scars have become your credentials. Your weakness has become your testimony. Your endurance has become your authority. The unveiling is not just about your elevation, it is about God's glory being revealed through you. And understand this, unveiling does not mean perfection. You will still carry cracks. You will still feel human weakness. But those very imperfections will prove that the treasure inside you is not of human origin, but divine. As Paul once said, we have this treasure in jars of clay to show that this all-surpassing power is from God and not from us. Now, chosen one. The unveiling will not be for applause, but for assignment. When you step forward, lives will shift. When you open your mouth, chains will break. When you walk in obedience, atmospheres will change. What you carry is not entertainment, it is deliverance. Think of dawn breaking after the longest night. At first, it is subtle. The horizon glows faintly, then the light spreads. The shadows retreat, and suddenly the whole landscape is visible again. That is what your unveiling will feel like. Gradual, then undeniable. And when it comes, you will finally see why the battles were so fierce, why the loneliness was so heavy, why the silence lasted so long. It was never punishment. It was preservation. You were hidden so that when revealed, you would be unshakable, chosen one. Do not lose heart now. You are too close. You have carried too much to turn back. Lift your eyes, steady your steps, and prepare your spirit. The unveiling is not far away, it is at the door. And when it opens, you will understand why your path was narrow and why your nights were long. What once felt like a crushing weight will be revealed as the very pressure that produced oil from your life. What once seemed like chains will be remembered as training grounds. Every sigh, every hidden prayer, every sacrifice will shine like fire on the crown you carry. And when heaven lifts the curtain, your story will not just be told, it will be sung. For the unveiling is not just your breakthrough, it is heaven's testimony written through you, chosen one. You have reached the end of this message, but not the end of your journey. What has been poured into your spirit today is only a glimpse of the glory waiting for you. You are rare, marked, and chosen for such a time as this. And now, let me speak with gentleness. If these words have strengthened you, if you felt heaven whisper through them, then let your response become part of your testimony when you press like. Think of it as planting a seed in fertile soil, a simple gesture. Yet every seed carries the potential for harvest beyond what you see. When you share, imagine offering a cup of cold water to a thirsty traveler. You may not know their name, but heaven does, and your act could refresh a weary soul. When you subscribe, see it as building a shelter beside a flowing river. You are choosing to return, to dwell where living water keeps flowing, never running dry. And when you comment, think of it as etching your voice into the story of the chosen. It is your way of saying, I was here, I received, I will carry this forward. End of 4. Finally, when you donate, picture yourself placing oil into a lamp that lights the path for countless others. The flame does not remain with you alone, it spreads, guiding strangers you may never meet, yet whose lives will be changed because the light did not go out. Remember, this is never about obligation. It is invitation, an open door for your heart to respond in freedom and beauty. Walk through it if you feel led. For every act, small or great, becomes part of the eternal testimony heaven is writing through you.